Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Araminta Robertson and I am a freelance content marketer at Mint Copywriting Studios. I specialize in fintech and financial services, and Christina really kindly asked me to create a video on what Tag Manager is, Google Tag Manager, and why it's useful for content marketers. I use it a lot for clients, for tracking, for my website, and it's really made my life a lot easier. So I'm putting together this little video just to kind of get started, the basics of Google Tag Manager, what it is, why it's useful, and a very easy, simple use case to get started. So first up is why use Google Tag Manager? How does it make a content marketer's life easier? The main reason is that it helps you, it puts you in control. As a content marketer, often we're not as technical as developers. Obviously, most of us don't code, but we still need the data analytics. We still need to track conversions every week, every month. And it can be a little bit annoying to keep asking developers to put in this code and set up this and set up that. Google Tag Manager allows you to kind of put all your analytics on one page and track whatever you want on a website without having to constantly ask your developer to add some code in. Second of all, it allows you to track literally anything on a website, which is really amazing. And also it allows you to track, if your form is different than a different kind of form, whatever. Sometimes it's not as simple as just sending the reader to a landing page. Sometimes the form just reloads. So then you don't have to keep changing forms and keep changing websites or pages. You can just use Tag Manager to adapt to how your website is built without having to ask people to change the website. And then finally, I think the other main thing that Tag Manager helps me with is visualizing data. It allows me to put a lot of different metrics on one page, so I can then put it in a really nice report and send it over to a client. So here is an example, and I'm just going to use mine, so Mint Studios, my website, as an example. But a lot of the information that I have here is obviously through Google Analytics, but also using a lot of Tag Manager features. And this is just me let's put May, for example, where there's a bit more activity going on. This is just me for my website, but for clients, I do use a report that's a little bit more advanced, looks a little bit cooler. And so this is kind of what I like to do. I like to put everything on one page and then send it over to the client, and then maybe export it into a Excel spreadsheet or Google Sheets if we want to do things one by one. So that's why Tag Manager is useful. Oh yeah, and finally, actually, another thing is sometimes a lead can be someone who clicks on different buttons. So maybe someone who arrives on a product page, but also arrives on the contact page, but also clicks on the CTA at the bottom of the page. And these are all different kinds of leads. And Tag Manager, with Google Analytics, it can be a little bit complicated to organize that. But with Tag Manager, you can put all of that under one goal, which is really useful. And then, I just put that in here. It makes data a lot more accurate. If you're, maybe just tracking someone arriving to a landing page, sometimes that can be a bit inaccurate. And with Tag Manager, you can literally track someone who submits a form, and there's no, either the form is submitted or not. There's no in between. So it's a bit more accurate. So let's get into it. What is a Google Tag Manager? Put simply, Google Tag Manager is a free tool that allows you to manage and deploy marketing tags, which are essentially snippets of code, onto your website or app without having to change the actual code of your website. So basically, I like to think of Google Tag Manager as like a translator. you've got your website that's like the main data source, and the tag manager just kind of intercepts or is the middleman or the translator in the middle that basically translates certain things going on in your website and then puts them through to Google Analytics. And that translator, that middleman can, you can give it pixels. We'll see later, Facebook pixels, or obviously the Google Analytics pixel. Sorry, not the Google Analytics code. And depending on kind of what information you give that middleman, it will interpret and help you help you track and help you see certain things in your website. Not sure that's a very good explanation, but once we get into it, it will make more sense. With Google Tag Manager, you can track things like PDF downloads, outbound link clicks, button clicks, and then more complicated stuff, which we won't cover in this, and which honestly not even I know how to do. But form completion is also a very important one. There are three main parts of Google Tag Manager. There's the tags, which is essentially like the snippet that will then connect to Google Analytics and will contain the information that is then sent to Google Analytics. The trigger is basically tells the tag manager when to fire the tag, and then the variables are just additional information that a tag manager might need for the tag and the trigger to work. So in terms of tags, you've got different types of tags, and the most common ones are Google Analytics, which is one we'll use today, remarketing code, conversion tracking code, heat map tracking code, Facebook pixels, and there's quite a few others. And triggers are just a way to fire up the tag that you set up, and they basically tell the tag manager when to do it, when to fire, and when to fire and at what time. So yeah, just when actually, and what exactly to fire, I guess. And then variables are simply just additional information, as I said before. If you're interested in learning more about Tag Manager, I highly recommend checking these two guys out. They are literally the experts on Tag Manager in the industry. Julius, I'm a big fan of Julius. I've done 2 of his Tag Manager courses. I'm in his Facebook group, and it's really great because whenever I have a question, I just post in the Facebook group and he answers. So it's great for troubleshooting. And if you're interested in Tag Manager, I highly recommend doing one of his courses. They're not that expensive. I think they're like 150, and you get the community forever. And they're great people also, the 2 of them. So I recommend checking them out. So for today's video, we are going to use Tag Manager to track how many people are signing up to a newsletter. And we're going to keep it really simple, just button clicks. Sure, it's not as accurate as form submission, but I just wanted to start simple. And if people like this, maybe I can do another one with form submission, which is a bit more accurate. But for the moment, I'm just going to show you how I can literally track anything on my website with Tag Manager. And yeah, this is, if you want a video on Data Studio, I love Data Studio, so I can do one also, but it's a bit more simpler, Data Studio. Right, so what are we tracking? I'll just show you a little bit the end result and then how we're going to get there. So this is my website, just my personal freelance website. I'm going to reload that. Basically, I have a newsletter I send out every 2 weeks, and people can sign up, you know, through the blog, through the homepage, through various locations. And so in this newsletter form, for example, this is native Squarespace. And I basically send the user directly, the reader, directly to a thank you page. So that's really easy to track through Google Analytics. I just keep it simple. And through all my blogs, I use this native Squarespace newsletter form, which is easy, simple. But however, on my homepage, I wanted to send a lead magnet. So it's not loading right now. I'm just going to reload that. I wanted to send a lead magnet. So I wanted it to be a different form where people who signed up here would get, well, the lead magnet, the PDF, right? And Squarespace doesn't offer that. So I'm using here a MailerLite form. And in this case, I'm not sending people to a thank you page. You can do that with MailerLite, and that's just one way of doing it. But for the sake of this example, imagine we're not able to send people to the thank you page. And so what happens when I've put in my email, I click on yes, please, and I'm not sent to another page. It just loads here. However, I have done all the setup beforehand, obviously. I'm going to analytics and look at that goal. It's gone through as a goal. Ignore this. This is a newsletter subscriber goal right now. This is the one that you're seeing here. This is in real time. So this is just showing you the end result. I have managed to, not send people. I've essentially set it up as an event, right? And not as someone sending to a thank you landing page. And it still registers as a goal, which is what we want. How did I do that? That is the point of this video. So let's begin. The first step of getting started with all this is heading to Tag Manager. So when you go to Tag Manager, I'm not going to go to the main page just because it has some of my client information, but essentially you access Tag Manager through here, Analytics, you click on here, and then it's right here, Tag Manager, see? And you can just create an account. It's very simple and easy. Or you can, if not, put tagmanager.google.com and you'll also directly get there. Setting up Tag Manager, you need to, basically what you have to do, you click on here and it tells you how to set it up. You need to paste this code as high in the head of the page as possible, and then paste this code immediately after the opening body tag. And then that's it. You've got Tag Manager. Okay, so the next thing we'll do is go to Tag Manager. And once you've added in your code, then that's the only part where you might need developer help. But if you have access to the website yourself, then it's just copy and pasting. The first thing that you'll need to do is go to variables. And this is where we're going to input the Google Analytics variable. First of all, also you want all of this to be enabled. So just click on configure and then make sure this is all activated. And you can also put forums if you want. So yeah, setting up user-defined variables, just click on new. In the title, use the analytics variable. So usually you just need to go to settings and it's right here. So just copy that. In the variable configuration, we're going to put Google Analytics settings. Tracking ID, you just put that number again. And that's it. You've got you've configured analytics. Save. Obviously it's not going to let me because I already have it, but for you it should work. So now you've set up Tag Manager to be linked to your analytics. The first thing we'll do is, just going to check this. Figure out how does Tag Manager react to someone subscribing via MailerLite. In order to do that, I'm first going to delete this because this is already what I have enabled, right? And I'm going to delete the trigger too. Okay, so to see how Tag Manager reacts to this click, you're going to click on preview. So it's this here. And this opens up another tab where you're basically entering preview mode, which is like a debugging mode. And here you put in your website and then you just click on connect. And it'll open up another tab, which is basically your website, but in debugging mode. And then you've got here connected. Great. So these are the tags that are going to come up whenever you click on something and whenever there's an event that takes place on your website. So right now, for example, I'm clicking and nothing's turning up. Yeah, that's just because I don't have a click tag enabled. But anyway, so how does Tag Manager react to me filling in this newsletter form? I put it in my website, click on it, let's see what happens. Not a while. Right. So it registered all those clicks and no tags were fired. Nothing happened, basically. We can dive into a little bit more information by clicking on variables. And this tells you a little bit more information about the button we clicked. So if you scroll down, you see that this is the button that we clicked. It says, yes, please. And yeah, that's just kind of information about the button that we just clicked. So the first thing we're going to do is set up a trigger. And this is a trigger that's basically going to tell Tag Manager, inform Tag Manager whenever someone clicks on the yes, please. Right, so trigger that will fire a tag that will then communicate with Google Analytics. So first thing I'm going to do is go on to triggers. Don't want to set up a tag first. So first we're going to create a trigger. In this trigger, the naming convention, I will add the link to Julius's website, but basically I like his approach, which is every time you drill down an events report, it must provide some additional value. And this is what I do. You'll see this further on when I create the tag, but basically this is a lead that is signing up. And I think I call it, newsletter subscriber. But yeah, I just try and keep it simple. So what kind of, just to begin with, we're going to put all elements, which means that this is a trigger that's going to fire whenever there's a click on anything in the website. Just going to save that. So we've got a trigger now. And now I'm going to create a tag. And I'll set up, and the convention that I use here is event. I think I call it also newsletter subscriber. I can't remember. Yeah, newsletter subscriber. Great. And here, always pick universal analytics, obviously, unless you're using GA4 or some of the other tags that are here. Great. What type of tag is this? This is an event, right? Because we're clicking. And here, this is the interesting part. Basically, this is information that's going to then go to Google Analytics and help Google Analytics figure out kind of how to categorize this event. And this is where we use Julius's convention. So in the category, I put lead. In the action, newsletter. And in the label, I'm just going to set up this here, which is basically just a variable, using a variable as a label, which changes according to where the click takes place. This is very useful if you want to, for example, know on what page the click takes place. So I'm just going to put page path because although for the moment, obviously I only have this newsletter form on the home page, if I had this on another page, it would be interesting to see, what pages are people clicking that button on. Select settings variable, select universal analytics, and then in the triggering, click on this one, the one that we just created right now. So by creating this tag and trigger, we're going to be able to see whether the tag is working, first of all. So click on preview. Every time you update something in Tag Manager, you want to click on previews to make sure it updates. So now we once again have this here, continue, So now what should happen is I click and it's going to turn up. It'll be like last time. Yeah, there we go. So as you can see, oh no, I'm clicking, but it's firing the newsletter subscriber tag. That's because I put all elements, as in every time I click on around on this page, it's going to fire this tag, which is obviously not very useful if we want to make sure, when we want to make sure actually that we're obviously just clicking on one button. So how can we make sure that Tag Manager only fires when I'm clicking on that button? Right. So we need to find something that makes this click unique. Now I've clicked on it and let's go to triggers. And obviously it is firing on every tag, on every click, because I have selected all elements. So wherever I click, it's going to fire. But that's not great because obviously we want this to fire only when I click on the yes please button. So we need to find something that's unique about the yes please button, and that will and that we can use that information to tell Tag Manager when to fire, essentially. So what we do is we go to that button. So actually, now that I clicked around, I can't find it, but I think it was this one. And we can find out because if you just scroll down and go to click text, this is, you see, we can see this is the button, right? This is when I clicked on the CTA. And then you click on through other clicks, and obviously this is different, right? The click text is, where is it? Click ID, click text is some weird string, which we're not interested in. This is another click text, yeah. So the only one that we're interested in is the yes please button. So what's unique about this? So for example, if you just look through it all, something that I see that's unique is the click classes. So you can use click text, click text, click URL, a few other things, form classes. Just to keep it simple, we're gonna pick click classes. Click classes, primary. This is another class. This is a different one. This is a different one. So for our button, which is yes please, my click class is primary. Now you might find that for different buttons, the click classes are the same. In that case, you'll need to find something else that's different. So it might be the click ID, it might be the click text. Sometimes you have to do a bit of experimenting and finding, picking a piece of information that is different and unique. In this case, I'm going to choose click classes. So primary, click on that. Then we're going to go to triggers. And we're going to change it to some clicks. Click classes already contains primary. And there we go, save. Click on preview again. And now the tag should only fire when we click on the button. Let's test it out. So first of all, when I click around, the tag should not fire. So click, tag's not firing. Okay, that's good. Now let's fill this in. Yes, please. Latest click, and there we go. Now it's firing. So it's not firing on all the others, great, but it is firing when we click the button. So as I said before, this is just tracking clicks, not form submissions. Form submissions is ultimately a lot more accurate, but I can create another video for that specifically. Great, so now that we're measuring the right triggers, the trigger is firing correctly, essentially. We want to now connect that to Google Analytics. How do we do that? You go to Google Analytics. You want to create a goal, essentially, right? So you go to right here, admin, goals. And what I'll do is I will just show you, this is the typical goal, right? Using a destination. But in this case, we're going to set up an event. So you click on, you create a new goal, keep it to custom, call it whatever you want, make sure it's an event. And then in the details, this is where you copy and paste all the information that you put in here on that tag. Newsletter subscriber, as you can see here, the category is lead. Oops. lead. Action is newsletter. And label, whenever you're using a variable, just leave it blank. Save. Now let's check whether this is working. Click on real time. Click on conversions. We have been clicking a lot recently, so that's why this is all coming up. It's not going to say more than one, obviously, because it's just one. But now, if I go here, just going to reload. Put in my email address, track it. It should turn up here as a goal. Boom, there we go. Great, so that was just a very basic introduction to Google Tag Manager. Hopefully it all makes sense. Hopefully it's a little bit useful for tracking clicks. As you can see, kind of after that, the opportunities never end. You can track every single button on the website, and that's literally what I do. I actually have a page on here where I track all the different buttons that people click on. There, CTA testing basically. And that's a lot of fun, as you can imagine. And that's just the beginning. You can track so many other things as well. You can track scroll depth, videos, and if you're a content marketer, obviously the most interesting one is conversions. And if you cannot just use landing pages, then you can use Tag Manager. And I use that a lot every single day. Yeah, so there we go. I hope it was useful. Feel free to ask me any questions. Reach out to me in the Content UK Slack group. I'm there. I'm also on Twitter at Mint-C Studios, or on LinkedIn, Araminta Robertson. Or you can just shoot me an email at araminta@mintcopywritingstudios.com. And hopefully I will see you around. Thank you very much for watching.